It's a bottle tree.
Oh, just. But there is a bottle. There is a thing called a bottle brush.
There is a bottle brush tree. Yeah, it's the one that has the flower that looks like a bottle brush.
I've walked alone.
G'day, I'm Roland Hearn, and this is a walk in the garden. Today I am at the beautiful Mt Coot-tha Botanical Gardens. Mt Coot-tha is the Aboriginal word, I think, for honey, if I remember correctly. I'll check it out before this is posted and write on the bottom exactly what it is. But this is a beautiful space, and I'm loving it. You know, I said last week that we're meeting up with Chang, so we're going to meet here and have a little bit of a chat, and that'll be fun. In fact, you may not be able to hear it yet, but I think I can hear his guitar playing, so I'm just going to keep looking for him around the corner here.
Like, is that what it's implying? Because I didn't know crows swooped either.
I could understand crows, but I haven't had that experience. Certainly magpies, but kookaburras and butcher birds, yeah, they swoop. Noisy miners definitely swoop.
Right.
Plovers. Have you ever been attacked by a plover?
No, I haven't. Thank goodness. I've heard that they
are
be pretty
really
bad.
vicious. Yeah.
Isn't it? Or
Yeah,
something?
there's a spike in their wing right in here apparently. Yeah. So there's a seat over there. Why don't we go over there and we can have a chat? It's got that beautiful gardens in the background. Very appropriate. What do you reckon?
Beautiful. How about this tree over here?
It's gorgeous, isn't it? Look at that. That's a bottle brush tree.
Bottle brush tree.
It's a bottle tree.
Oh, just. But there is a bottle. There is a thing called a bottle brush.
There is a bottle brush tree. Yeah, it's the one that has the flower that looks like a bottle brush.
Right.
No, sorry, Chang. I said you were straight. That's a bottle tree.
Right.
Milk bottle tree. No, I'm gonna have to look that up. I'll put it on the video.
A bottle tree.
Well, mate, here we are. This is
Back again.
This is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, this is.
I love that walk that we just did.
Yeah.
I've got to work out what that tree is, yeah, right? it will be on the videos, though.
Oh, you'd be better than me. I can't name anything. That's a bird. I don't know what type of bird it is.
That tree, it has a very close relative to a tree on the savannas of Africa. So if you see Africa trees, like they're massive, massive, like they're 10 times the size of that tree, but it's the same family of tree. Yeah.
Oh, I could have said that.
Yeah, I just made that up. No, I actually did. So I said that so I'd feel valuable.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
funny,
speaking of valuable.
Yeah. Talk to me about.
Yeah, worth and love, eh?
Yeah.
Chang, the thing that we're trying to do with this video series, right, is establish that love is what makes the world go round. I mean, that's been the product of songs for years, and in fact,
there's a song.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why it's a part of our music, because it's so much a part of who we are. But the thing that I found through my own life, that the connection that turned a light on for me was that connection that love and worth are the same thing in terms of relationships, right? So when you relate to somebody, the way that you tell them that you love them is you cause them to experience worth.
Right.
The flip side of that is if I'm feeling worthless, then I'm not feeling love, right?
Totally.
So that's why that becomes such an important piece, because we think we feel worthless as an object reality, but it's not objective reality. But it's not. It's that it's connected with the experience of love. Yeah. So that piece is the first part of the walk in the garden. That love and worth are two sides of the same coin. Yeah. So then we move on to the next piece that says that the search for meaning is a search for worth. So who am I? The who am I question, which we've all gone through at different points of time. And you typically notice it first, starting when you're about 14 or 15. You start trying. You don't know that that's what you're doing, but you're trying to work out, well, who am I? Am I just an extension of my parents, or am I with my friends? You know, is it my friends that tell me? And in fact, at that point in time, we actually start gravitating towards friends, because that's that drive to move out into the world and establish our own identity in and of ourselves. But the funny thing is, what we end up doing is establishing our identity in terms of our friends. I remember seeing a cartoon when I was a kid in the 70s, and it was a hippie saying, I dressed to be different, but he was in this crowd of hippies with all exactly the same flower shirts on, and it was actually very wise. But you know, that's the kind of thing that you see.
Was it a picture of you?
No, no. Was it you? I was a real good boy. I never went down the hippie road.
Fair enough. God bless the hippies.
But that's the same. That's it. It's the search for meaning, right? But what we're actually doing when we're trying to search for meaning is we're trying to work out, am I valuable? Because if I'm valuable, then I'm loved.
Yeah.
The obstacle is what I said before, is that it's a human thing. We struggle with worthlessness, right?
Yeah.
So we're constantly putting out feelers to work out, are we valuable?
Yeah.
And when they come back in any way negative, then we develop thick skins and we develop defense mechanisms.
Yeah.
But typically, when something happens that shocks us into thinking that we're not valuable, it doesn't feel good.
No.
Let's try this, okay? I'm going to say something to you. It's not right, okay? It's not true, but I'm going to say it. I just want you to feel the first feeling, right?
Okay.
And then tell me what that was. I mean, this may not work, and I have to cut it all out. But let's see what happens. Chang, that song you wrote for me was crap. Hated it. How did that feel?
Oh, it was funny.
It was funny, but think about it. But when I said it, what was that feeling?
I don't know. Like, maybe if it was like, if I knew you were serious, but I could imagine that, like, come on, man, you know, this was a song that I did.
Right.
And you know, it's for us, you know, it's for you, it's and then I guess it's I guess an attack on my gift, or attack on my talents, and
so you're able to, you knew instantly that I was joking.
Yeah.
I even set you up to say I was
joking.
Yeah,
that's right.
But when you started thinking about it, you were starting to make the connection, right? You could imagine yourself being in a place where someone that you cared about would say that, and it wouldn't feel good, would it?
No.
Because we're and key words like that's crap, or you're useless, or hated it. Those are key phrases, and for a creative person particularly, because I've got this theory that creative people live very vulnerably. They're very sensitive to the world around them, which allows them to interact and therefore give expression. But because of that, then it's very easy to be hurt when your creativity is challenged, because it's a very open spirit place. And so musicians or creative people have little ways of protecting themselves against that. But enough to say that those feelings are identifiable. That it's not difficult to identify that feeling of worthlessness. And as I've said before, that worthlessness flows from that space where we as human beings experience shame as a being concept. It's within our being. And so that's the obstacle to discovering that we're loved and valuable. And so the whole point of walking the garden is to try and work out what are the ways we get from that space of worthlessness to the space of love and worth. How do we do that? One of the ways.
Do we do that? No.
Good question.
No, I think it's great, because it's a good conversation. Because I remember, whether it's the season of courting or dating with my girlfriend, who's now my wife, we were always, we were number one.
Right.
We were always pouring into that, like, you're valuable because of this, or you do things according to, like, because you know what makes them happy, or what brings them joy. And so it was within our, like, first year or two of marriage that we were like, hang on a second, and then it was that that typical need of, like, you know, one of us would be like, oh, I don't feel appreciated.
Right.
I want to feel appreciated.
Right.
And then whether it was me, it would be like, oh, but I just want to be like respected.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But we were virtually saying the same thing.
Exactly.
You know, it was we just wanted to love each
it.
other. We wanted to feel each other's love, or to embrace each other in that. And yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, when you say that love and worth are the same side of the same, two sides of the same coin, it makes perfect sense. Because yeah, it's in those times where, yeah, even if we ripped each other off, like how you said with my song, man, don't worry about it. But
please don't.
Yeah, it's interesting when you put your whole self into that as well.
Exactly.
Because I mean, even with the music, there was a time in my life where I didn't intentionally, but subconsciously, that was my identity, was the singer-songwriter. I was or the music guy, you know, because a lot of my life and energy went to that creative space.
Right.
So even if I didn't see myself as, if people was like, oh, who are you, or what do you do, whatever it may be, even if I didn't think about it as a definition or book to, you know, to what way to define myself, it was definitely a big part of my identity. And so
that's it. Yeah,
it's interesting how much that would shape my worth. Or
absolutely. See, that's the other piece that's incredibly important. Well, the who am I question, the meaning. It's the identity piece. But so that's it. See, because you actually are very vulnerable when you're first early in a relationship, because you haven't had enough experience to know that beyond anything else you value each other, right? So you're always fishing and looking for it. But the interesting thing with all of that, Chang, is that it's fairly easy to identify in that environment, but it's less clear, but it's exactly the same thing as we're going through life.
Yeah.
Everything that we choose to do because it will cause us to feel valuable, or it will help us to medicate, for want of a better term, not feeling valuable, right? So, you know, we choose to come here to Mt Coot-tha. We're doing a good thing. Yeah. We think it's just about the idea of getting together and doing a video. Well, it is. Right. Except that this actually does add to our sense of worth, right? The friendship, the video, and the fact that the people, that somebody somewhere on the other side of the world maybe might look and go, oh, those guys are cool. That'll be nice. Yeah.
Hopefully.
But see, that's it. So when you look at it, you think, oh yeah, that is part of the equation. Yeah. You take that out of the equation, and somebody says, hey, you are going to go to Mt Coot-tha and you're going to videotape, you're going to drive an hour to get there or whatever it takes, and you're going to do this. You're not going to get paid for it, but you're just going to do it because I'm telling you you're going to do it. Yeah. It'd not be as easy to do it or as easy to enjoy it, right?
No, that's it.
Yeah.
It's funny. Would you say, I was just thinking, what would be the biggest difference in regards to love and worth, I guess, if you could?
I've thought about that for years, Chang. That's a really good question. I actually, so I don't want to say this too solidly, because someone might argue with me because they have a different opinion, so I want to give people the space to have their opinion. Yeah. I don't think there's a difference. I think that in terms of the human being, when we are loving, we are valuing. Yeah. When we receive love, we are feeling valued. And I can't, so one might lead the other. So I might say, hey, Chang, I love you. Yeah. But if I really want you to know that, I'll say, Chang, I love you. You know, you're awesome, mate. I really appreciate the time you spent with me. And this time I'm telling the truth. Yeah. I really appreciate the time you spent with me. Love our song. I think it's our song, right?
Yeah, that's it.
And I love it. Yeah. But you see how that, so having said I love you, that's one level of feeling valuable, but actually putting real, genuine words to it, your spirit starts to lift, doesn't it? It just does. Our hearts, and my heart it expands even in the saying of that. It reaches out to you as I'm saying it, because here's what's going on in my mind. I'm saying, oh, this might be heard as me just saying this. Yeah. So I want to make sure that Chang hears a tone of voice that says, actually, I mean this. And so then I actually say, I'm meaning this because I actually am. And so it's an illustration, but it's an illustration out of what's actually true. Yeah. So that whole process is mixed up with the idea of love and worth. Yeah. And in terms of faith, that makes faith very easy for me. Right. And I know some people watch this video that don't have faith, and I'm fine with that. In fact, I love that. Yeah. But that makes faith easy for me.
Right.
Because I believe in a God that is love, and therefore everything he does towards me is to tell me he values me.
Yeah.
And if I'm feeling worthless, then I have to just step back and say, then I'm not hearing what God's actually saying. And when I then understand what God is saying, my own sense of who I am and my value begins to rise. And that's a very easy construct again.
Right.
That doesn't require any theological tricks. It doesn't require any biblical education. It doesn't require any gymnastics. A lot of people have theology that requires gymnastics, right? Ignoring the truth. I remember someone saying to me, the thing I like about you is you don't ask me to stop thinking. Oh, that's good. I'm glad that's true, because I know that a lot of people feel that way.
I think my wife tells me to stop thinking sometimes, but that's because I think some random stuff, you know. That's a different video.
That's the video. That's right, it's a different video.
Nah, that's really cool. I like that. I was thinking, because often when you were mentioning you don't have to have a theological framework or, put it in a nutshell, I was thinking also, with worth, it's a theme that you often don't hear about, I guess, in a traditional sense.
Right, exactly.
And, whether you can or can't tie it to scripture or whatever, but you can't, I was thinking when I was reflecting on it, you can't deny the fact that without God, we are nothing.
Right, exactly.
Or without the meaning,
Yep.
Without the search of a real loving relationship, we are nothing, or we feel nothing, regardless. And so then worth kind of comes in, and so that's why I was thinking what you would say, the difference between the two, because that's what I'm thinking through, and I'm not coming up with anything.
Well, here's the thing, Chang. I'm glad you said that about the Bible. Because again, those that don't have faith, you don't have to worry about this trying to be a proof of faith. But we actually do believe in the Bible. Don't believe what everyone says about the Bible, by the way. Just want to say that. But when I became absolutely convinced that love and worth go hand in hand, I started reading the Bible from that perspective, and then it started leaping out at me. So all of the parables, all of Jesus' encounters with people are actually about either dealing with the structures of shame that were in the culture, devaluing, or valuing people. So you remember that story of Zacchaeus, the tax collector, hiding up in the tree? So Jesus comes along and he doesn't say to him, these are the things you've got to change, right? What does he say to him?
Can I come to your house?
Exactly.
Can I come?
So he's the big star that everyone's hanging around. He's going to go to that guy's place. He says, I'm going to come to your place. He's valuing him. So then you look at every time you see blessing in the Bible, every time you see glory, every time you see honor, which is all the way through, those are all worth statements. And there's many more too, by the way. But those are all, and so then I started thinking, well, the whole construct is actually a shift from the shame structures of the world to the world in which they were living, to the honor structures that God is trying to bring into their world. That's a very, and you nailed it. I hadn't heard that my entire life in terms of faith. But when it starts clicking, it makes sense. And that in and of itself, I don't need to prove that. I don't need to say, well, I'm going to prove God to you. All you got to do is keep looking around and seeing the consistency of how much love and worth goes together, and then ask yourself the question, is there someone that loves me and values me above everything else? Well, if the answer to that is yes, then you found God.
That's it. Oh, I like that. Boom, right there. That's all you need to hear.
That's it. That's it. It's very, very simple. So I was thinking that sometime in this series of chats we should get to that point, but we got there pretty quickly.
I was going to say, in light of shame, it's interesting how much of a norm it is as part of, for my Samoan or Polynesian culture, as it's normal. It's normal to put down each other, whether it's with humor or with sincerity. It's interesting how normal it is, but at the same time, you mentioned a while back, and I never forgot it. You mentioned shame is not just the opposite of love, but is sin.
Right.
And I was just like,
right.
Man. And that and it's so simple when you said it.
Yeah.
But when you said, I was like, man, that makes perfect sense. And it's right. Like, yeah, that it really is.
So if you want a really good definition,
not to throw the S word in there, but
that's right. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Well, I mean, obviously that's a very religious word, and people that are in the religious community understand that. But the idea of sin is actually brokenness. It's actually acting out of our brokenness, and the brokenness is shame, so the things go together. So when we shame somebody, we're actually putting onto them the power of sin for that word. And that might take a whole other video to discuss that through. But that's absolutely right. And so there's a for those that can't see, there's a magpie eating our microphone cord. But that shifts the whole focus from so where I grew up, it's you've done bad things.
Yeah, right.
You've got to ask God for forgiveness, and now you've got to do good things. Even though we put all of that in a basket that said, you become a Christian by faith. The actual contents of the basket where you've done bad things. You've got to ask God to forgive you. Now you've got to do good things. But the doing bad things and the doing good things actually only reflects the way we are in relationship to ourselves and to God. So if we're filled with shame, we do bad stuff as representative of our shame. God's not interested in condemning us for bad things. In fact, the Bible actually says that. It actually says He doesn't want to condemn us. It says Jesus didn't come into the world to condemn the world, so that the world would be saved. So God isn't interested in convincing us we've done bad stuff. In fact, we already know it. God wants us to know how incredibly valuable we are. So we open up to His love. He heals the brokenness, heals the shame. So then we do good things, not because there's a rule to do it, but why would you do anything else except for love people if love was filling your heart, right? Because love's the most fun thing in the world.
I believe so. I mean, I like how you said last time as well that there is no other way. And if it was the one thing we did as Christians,
to love people.
That's our calling beyond anything. And I think that's beautiful because too often we know too well how to do the opposite. But,
well, this has been an awesome chat. In fact, I'm almost to the point where we've almost got two chats right here.
I know.
But listen, I know that we chatted one time about you being able to pick up a guitar and just create a song on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot, grab your guitar, and rip one out.
All right. Well, seeing as put me on the spot, would you like to give me a letter between A and G, and I'll use that as the starting chord.
Oh, right, okay, all right. So I'm not musical at all. But I do know the letters between A and G. So what about D? It's right there in the middle.
D sounds great. Slow, fast, medium.
I think we've been kind of contemplative, haven't we? So probably a little bit slow, eh?
Yeah. I search for you. I search for you. I search for you. For you. And life has meaning search for you.
Mate, you're awesome. That is amazing. You just did that right then, eh?
Yeah. So it was a bit rough. It was a bit rough. But, yes.
Mate, that was awesome. Chang, mate, I am so glad we had this time together and
Me too,
get a chance to chat. That was really good stuff we got into. They were never expected any of that. I mean, honestly, we came here and we had a couple of things we want to talk about, and then we just flowed, right? So here's the plan.
Okay.
A couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks time, we're going to get together again.
Yep.
We're going to try and find a way of videoing our song, right? So we can actually, so the whole walk in the garden that time will be the song, and then we'll put that up on YouTube standalone. We might even let people buy it by downloading or something.
Hey, who knows?
Who knows?
It'd make us feel valuable.
That's right, exactly. That's right. Very validating. That's right.
That's awesome. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, mate.
Sorry, I can't hug you.
That's exactly right.